Well, we've been home from our North Africa trip now for 2 weeks. Right now, it is literally 50 degrees Celsius colder than it was our last day in Cairo. We decided after a lot of conversation that there were a lot of things that, even though we did a lot of research, we couldn't get the answers to while we prepared for our G-Adventures adventure in North Africa. So here is our top 8 things that we wish we had known before we left for Egypt. That was cold. Like minus 24 Celsius here, and it was 26 degrees when we left Cairo. Unbelievable. Thanks for watching this 8 things that we wish we had known before our Egypt trip video. We didn't want to try to come up with 10 things. We didn't want to get that picky. 8 seems to be a great number.
Sure.
Well, think about it. The Ocho. Remember? Yes. The Dodgeball. What a great movie. So 8 things. Cindy, your thing on your list was, as number 8, hotel amenities.
Which to me was one of the most important before leaving, because I was packing and trying to figure out what I needed.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
When I went online to see the hotels that we were expected to be staying at, I wasn't always able to see what they offered as far as, because it's different here.
Yeah.
So I wondered if they had shampoo, conditioner, that kind of stuff. And they had shampoo.
Yeah.
They had soaps, little soaps. They don't. I mean, you really have to rub to get some lather, but that's okay. They're soaps.
They're soaps.
So they work.
Yep.
No conditioner. So that's fine.
Okay.
So I always brought my own little conditioner because I don't like to have knots in my hair. The other thing that I was concerned about was blow dryer. A lot of the places, okay, not a lot. Some places had blow dryers.
Yeah.
If there was not a blow dryer, basically I would just go to the front desk and ask for one. And they usually had one, but they only had one. So you may have to share, talk within the group and devise a plan as to who's going to have it when.
And I can vouch for the fact that there would be the messages on the WhatsApp. Who's got the blow dryer? Can we arrange a place to swap out the blow dryer? Because the WhatsApp was on my phone, and it wasn't until we actually got to Morocco that it was on Cindy's phone. So in Egypt, it was my phone. But in Egypt, it wasn't as common, because in Egypt, we had the cruise, the resort, and the little bit higher end hotels
yes,
that we were at a few times. There was one hotel that we actually went to 3 times, and they had blow dryers in the room. So it wasn't that much of a deal, but it was something you thought was important to be on the list. Yeah, so that's cool. Number 7 was Uber.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
Typically, we're not Uber people. I'm a believer in metered taxis. I'm a believer in taxes being paid, especially we're from the greater Ottawa area. In Ottawa, I'm a strong supporter of the taxi cabs. Cabs in Egypt, Cairo in particular, didn't have meters. Like that first one that we took, he didn't even have a horn.
He didn't have a horn, and that you need a horn in Egypt.
Yeah, that's actually on our list, a little bit higher on the list. But we realized when one of our co-travelers said they were taking an Uber, we activated our Uber app. We were going to the museum, which was a 45-minute drive away, and the Uber was the equivalent of less than $5 Canadian. And it was great. And we took it to and from the museum. That was fantastic. So number 7 for us was learning that Uber was available. Now, number 6 was the one that you reminded me of when we were doing our list, because we didn't really know about this until we found out accidentally while our friend Heather was on a trip in Portugal.
Oh, that's right.
And that was eSIMs. Now, we used Air Allo. It was great. I'm not super techy, and the concern about popping my SIM out of my phone and trying to make sure that I had it when we got home and that sort of thing wasn't high on my comfort level list. So I think it was $30 we bought 3 gig of airtime. We didn't have access to our telephone number, but still having that data and being able to connect using WhatsApp.
And you could use Facebook to call if you needed to.
Yeah, so that was great. So we both put eSIMs on our phone. 15 days, I think the total was about $80 for all the data that we used, which was more than enough. Considering that we use Rogers here in Canada, and it was going to be $15 per day per person to use Rogers. I'm not always great at the maths, but that to me is something in the neighborhood of $100 each to have cell service. Wasn't worth it for us. So the eSIM. You mentioned number 5 to me, Cindy, was the scammers.
Oh my gosh. Egypt. Wow.
Yeah. First day.
Very nice people though.
Right. Yeah.
Very nice people. But they want to make money.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of money to go around. Cairo itself is 21 million people. So we met this chap. It was kind of interesting. We hadn't heard about the national election that had all the businesses closed for the day. Guess what?
There's a reason we didn't hear about it.
Because there wasn't one. But there was the one market that was open because of the national election. Fortunately, we only ended up buying something worth about $20. Something we were going to buy anyways on the trip, but to be scammed into going there didn't feel so good. And the other thing to be aware of, we did the cruise, the Nile River Cruise. Don't forget to look at our video of that. Actually, on the bottom of the screen right now is the link information for that video. But that said, when we were in Aswan, most of the tourists in Aswan are on river cruises. Well, for the guy to say, hey, you're on the ship, I work in the kitchen, come with me to this place where blah, 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 was pretty convincing, and it was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until we actually got to Luxor that we were told, oh yeah, there's this scam.
No, he just took us to a really nice spice shop, and we bought spices. It was great.
Yeah.
But
it's unfortunate that, that happened that way. So that was number 5. Number 4, something near and dear to our hearts when we travel, is access to beer and wine.
Beer and wine.
And Cindy, the place that we went to buy stuff. Drinkies. So that's a good thing for you to know. There's a Drinkies. There's a few Drinkies in Cairo. There was one in Luxor. We didn't need to go looking in a couple other places because we had brought, there was a place in Alexandria, but we had enough with us that we didn't need to actually go looking until the second day in Alexandria when we went looking. Yeah. So Drinkies. They actually have an app. Get the app, have it with you.
And the taxi driver / Uber will know where they are, and they can take you to them for
a song.
Next to nothing.
Yeah. So that was good. The third thing that made us very comfortable when we got to Egypt, and we weren't, again, that aware, was the access to money. Egypt is pretty much a cash society. Credit cards. It's tough when you're in a market right, to pay somebody with a credit card. They don't have credit cards. They all pay cash. Bank machines everywhere. Security, oh my goodness. The security at the bank machines, especially in Cairo, most of them had security guards at the bank machines. So that was really good. Number 2 on our list of things that we wish we had known, wish we had been prepared for, was the level of busy.
Busy.
It was crazy busy everywhere we went. When we did our long walk, it's in the 3 days in Cairo video. We walked 22 kilometers one day into this market and back to the hotel. We went through a market area that was so busy that not only were we face to somebody's back and somebody's face to our back, we were literally often rubbing up against city buses, mopeds, cars. Add to that the horns and the honking that is all the time, and everything that was happening, loudspeakers, people trying to get people's attention for their area that was selling shirts. It was crazy, loud, and busy. And it's not something that I'm disappointed that I experienced.
No.
That in itself that walk was amazing.
That's their life.
That was real Cairo.
Yeah.
It was just, I wasn't quite prepared, and I hadn't wrapped my head around 21 million people living in a city. So that was that. So that leaves us with our number 1 thing that we didn't know when we left for our trip. And that number 1 thing, and they aren't paying us to say this, the number 1 thing that we wish we had known is we wish we had known about G Adventure sooner. The entire G experience was incredible. Was incredible.
So well organized. You felt like everything was just really well organized.
Yeah.
Never felt out of the loop.
In Egypt, our tour guide was Michael. He was the most kind, most thorough person. Accommodating. He was sort of, I don't want to say like a dad because he was much younger than me, but he was like that guardian that we had, that if we needed something, all we had to do is go to Michael. He could hook us up and help us out. He found bank machines. There were a couple of times where it was a data issue. It wasn't an accessing money issue. He helped us there. The way he spoke to us, the drivers that we had in all the places that we were, they had armed protection with us when we were in the big cities. He was just, and he knew so much. He's an Egyptologist by education. Like, it was just so wonderful. And so G Adventures. I think I wish we'd known more about G Adventures. Yeah. And that's it. That's our 8 things. If there's something that you saw or had experienced that you wish you had known before Egypt, put it in the comments below. That would be fantastic.
Or even if you have a question of something we didn't mention.
Yeah. Please, we're happy to field questions about our time. We covered a lot of Egypt in the 15 days that we were there. We have a lot of videos. There's 9 videos in our channel here about our time in Egypt. Oh, the channel. The channel. We love doing this. We love that YouTube likes that we're doing this. And if you could help tell YouTube that we're doing a good job, give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to keep up to date with our travels, subscribe to the channel. Doesn't cost anything. We don't send you spam or anything like that. We've got a lot coming up. Actually, this May, we're going to be walking the Camino de Santiago with a twist. And we'll share that as those times go along, and then we'll be in Portugal for the better part of a week after we're done the Camino. And actually next month in February, we're going to be going to Florida for a little bit. So we'll capture some of the highlights of that trip as well. So thanks very much for watching this episode of Dirt Road Traveler. And, can't forget, thank you, Add Caffeine, for being one of our sponsors. So that's it for this episode. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.